So the next question we might ask is, what did Shakespeare do when he left school? Well, the likelihood is that Shakespeare left school around the age of 14, earlier than many of his contemporaries, because, as we know, his father had got into trouble and lost his station, if you like, in society. We don't know exactly what Shakespeare did when he left school. There are, again, several speculative ideas, one of which was that he was apprenticed to a local butcher, for instance. But we do know one thing he definitely did do in the period after leaving school and before having his first child, and that is, of course, that he fell in love with Anne Hathaway, and that is why I've come out here to Anne Hathaway's cottage to film this particular entry. Now, we don't know exactly how they met. But suffice it to say, they did get married. They did, however, have a good reason for getting married, which may or may not have been to do with love, and that is that Anne Hathaway was pregnant when they got married, already by 3 months. Not that this was particularly unusual in Tudor time, I should add. It wasn't that Shakespeare was particularly precocious. Approximately 1 in 3 women were pregnant at the time of their marriage. We obviously know that by comparing marriage records with birth records. What might have made Shakespeare a little bit more precocious was his age. He was only 18 when he married Anne Hathaway, who was 26. Anne Hathaway was exactly the average age for marriage in Shakespeare's day. It was Shakespeare who was unusually young, not Anne Hathaway who was unusually old. The idea that people got married very young, probably perpetuated by Romeo and Juliet, is actually fairly false. There isn't that much difference between the average age of marriage in Shakespeare's day and our own. So possibly one of the things he also did during this time was write some of his first poetry. People speculate that some of his early sonnets were written to impress Anne Hathaway, and one of them indeed has a pun on Anne Hathaway's name in the last couplet. So look out for that if you're reading through Shakespeare's sonnets. So we don't know what Shakespeare did precisely, but we do know some of the things perhaps he was feeling and going through at the time.